2 minute black and white and honest conversation. Wow, it's a Saturday and big news is being made. Wow. Um, Much to our shock and awe, Marjorie Taylor Greene has decided to step away from her congressional seat up there in the northwest corner of Georgia and do what? Well, that's the question. It still remains to be seen. Apparently, she ain't hurting for dough. So as soon as she qualifies for that pension in January, she's going to step away from things. All right, let's bring in Brock and Ellis. Let's go up to the friendly confines of the Upper Hudson River Valley, just north of New York City. And Brock, what say you, my friend? Is Marjorie Taylor Greene slow playing another opportunity in government? Is she going to primary? Run against J.D. Vance? What could she be setting the stage for after she's pissed off MAGA world with the Epstein files?
You know what? I'm surprised. I'm disappointed. I wanted MTG to stay in there because I loved the direction she was going. So I wanted her to stay in there fighting, embarrassing Mike Johnson every day, and poking at Trump, as every time someone stuck a microphone in front of her. So I loved what she was doing. I just don't necessarily understand the decision, except that my thesis is that she sees the Trump train wreck rolling over as we go into 2025, 26. She doesn't feel, she's already made her point. She's gone on her charm offensive and repositioned herself, and she doesn't need to stick around to making a bunch of votes and get in a bunch of fights with Trump. She can just step away, let him and MAGA, in essence, trip all over themselves, and then swoop back in at a later date with like kind of an "I told you so," and I'm the real MAGA leader. Trump had gone wrong, but she doesn't have to be in that fight every day. I just don't believe she's walking away. I think
No,
there
sir.
is some strategy behind this of a reemergence with a cleaner slate, and she just decided that she didn't need to be in the mud with Trump every day, and
You
that
think
was
it
going
was
to
as
hurt her
simple as that?
future, that he was going to go away and she would be still around, so she might as well step aside and let him implode.
So you think it was that simple? Because I don't know. I just feel like with the toxic environment that's out here, um, Trump had labeled her a traitor. We just saw Charlie Kirk get unalived. And, you know, I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene had made some threats that she was going to challenge for one of those Senate seats in Georgia. I don't know which one. I can't see her doing well against either of those two gentlemen, especially when all you have to do is replay MTG's greatest hits. Her cat calling the presidents, her, following David Hogg, down the mall in D.C., you know, the allegation that she was dropped the bomb off at the Democratic headquarters in D.C. There's so much, to unload on Marjorie Taylor Greene in a campaign. Why wouldn't she just stay in a safe seat, or is that seat unsafe?
I mean, it's one of the safer ones, right? It was at least a
No
plus
doubt.
30 seat, but okay. No, she went on a month-long charm offensive and totally rebranded herself. She got on every mainstream media outlet that would take her. She went on The View, right? She softened her whole tone. She did some mea culpas along the way about how she'd learned
Sure.
and changed. She became a champion of women with, all the Epstein survivors. So I feel like this was a calculated, not, she didn't wake up yesterday and decide, hey, I got to get out of this. She rebranded first, then
Mm.
she's deciding to resign. I feel like she thinks she changed her narrative enough that she can come back separated from Trump because she sees Trump falling. And she's like, why am I going to let this guy drag down the rest of my career? I think she ripcorded. She took a life vest and jumped off the sinking boat.
Mm. But here's the thing. she's making a shit ton of money, more than she's ever made.
Hmm.
She's not smart enough to make $20 million on her own. She had a company that she needed, $800,000 of PPP money for. So she's obviously not very good at whatever she was doing. No one cares really what that business was. I mean,
Hmm.
we're not going to patronize it. But here's the thing I ask you, Brock, and I warned you about this question in our pre-production meeting. Um, if you're an Epstein survivor now, are you feeling played? Are you feeling used? Are you feeling manipulated by MTG? Because the more you talk about it, the more it feels like this was a calculated move, the likes of which we could have never given her credit for.
I got a big maybe to that. Maybe. Certainly in her rebranding, she decided to play champion of women and glommed on to their effort,
Right,
right? But she did stay around to vote and push the vote for the Epstein files. So you could argue
yeah,
that she accomplished their goal and now
yeah.
it's in Bondi's camp. So she didn't run away before the vote.
Okay,
She still has a month left if she wants to get out on the floor and make some more noise about the Epstein files and, you know, name some names and do some of the shit she committed to, right? She's not
right.
leaving until January 5th or 6th. And she could still be a voice after she's not in the seat because she is, you know, unfortunately, admittedly, she is a celebrity. So she will still be able to get on shows, right? They'll book her. CNN will book her.
Everyone's gonna book
MSNBC
her.
will book her. Fox will
Everybody's
still
gonna book
book
her.
her. She'll get ratings.
Yes,
Her
she will.
voice will still, so she still can be supportive of that group. Do I
Right.
think that will happen? No. I think that she probably used that scenario for some advantage and saw it as a great way to be a part of her rebranding pre-resignation campaign.
Yeah. Even with Trump branding her in a Truth Social post this morning as a traitor, he said she went bad. Um, why isn't anybody taking advantage of this opportunity to flip it and say, hey, if it's so bad to support the victims of sex trafficking, if it's so bad to call for free and fair elections, of course, which she has not done, but you know, let's put that in her camp now since she's on this, you know, charm offensive. Um, like I just I just don't see why Democrats aren't taking advantage of this. Look, it's too hot in the kitchen for MAGA people, right? Why do we want these people in power? Someone asked that question.
And
Hakeem
sh
asked that question.
yeah,
Chuckles asked
yeah.
that
I mean, it
question.
should be pouncing on it. This should be like a big story. Why? Why is MAGA coming apart? Because Marjorie Taylor Greene's a traitor because she talked about affordability. Because she
Right.
said the people in her district were hurting. Now she's abandoned them, right? Because
No
now
doubt.
they don't get a vote now. Now there's going to be a special election. So right. So now they have no representation for the pain that they're feeling, which is
Right.
why, MTG is an opportunist. She's getting out for a reason, right? She could
Right.
be a champion of the people in her district.
Right.
And, whether it be their healthcare costs or the food costs, that she could be pounding the drum as she's done for like a month.
Right.
And now she just walks away from that. So now a new rep can get voted in who probably just rolls along with Mike Johnson and MAGA. So she fought for 6 weeks. That was her entire rebellion.
Right.
But so it's kind of I view it as kind of a weak move, but it's probably a strategically smart one. But I don't really necessarily respect it.
Right. Right. No one will. In the law, well, no one on the blue side will. The red side's gonna hate her, for walking away from the red hat movement. I mean, she was the darling of the red hat movement. Bobo's been awfully quiet lately. What say you on that front?
Well, let me stay on MTG for a second. Does MAGA buy it? Do you think she becomes like do you think it's worked that she's an enemy of MAGA now that quick because Trump said it? Or do you think she said enough things that resonated where she's kind of helped trigger the major decline in Trump's approval and the big uptick in his disapproval ratings?
Wow, that's a great question. And I wish I had a great answer. I don't, but I will say this. I do believe that where most of Trump's people come from is where her message will resonate, right? Remember, we're the elitists on the coast, right?
Yeah.
All that red in the middle is where people can relate to what Trump has done to them and who Marjorie is speaking on behalf of, right? Soybeans out of here, beef out of here, you know, um, all the things that MAGA was depending on out of here. These manufacturing jobs not coming back. None of that stuff is coming back. Still got their racism, but they're hungry.
They're
SNAP
hungry.
benefits.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not feeding them. Yeah.
A
You can't
huge
put that on the
delay.
table.
SNAP
Yeah.
benefits.
Can't throw your racism on the grill, right? I
No,
mean,
not at all.
um,
So yes and no. Um, you know, again, they know Marge is still the racist that she has been, but you know they're hungry too. So they would like to have both, but I guess if push comes to shove, they got to eat because they got to
gotta-
keep up the fight. You
they
know,
have to
in
eat,
case of
eat
the race
first.
war.
Eat first. Boebert, in my day, Boebert's just staying out of the way right now. She's just, I wouldn't be surprised if she throws a little dirt on MTG's grave like Laura Loomer did at some point. But for now, she's probably like, this. There's not much to be gained out of being too loud right now. So I think
Right.
she's just staying out of the fray
True that.
for the short term. She'll be back.
True that. I could see that. Um, Bobo has lost a lot of wind in her sails out there in Colorado. There's a newscaster out there on the KUSA, the NBC affiliate, named Kyle Clark, and he has been relentless in his coverage of her and all of her tomfoolery, including her carpetbaggery, where she tried to leave one district, go to another because she thought it would be an easier win. So, you know, she's been facing a lot of heat on the home front, which may explain, you know, for her quietivity, if that's a word, lately.
Hey, she's at risk. Anyone who's within a plus 20 point gap at this
Yes,
point is within risk. And with Trump's disapproval numbers skyrocketing and his decline on the economy where he was supposed
yes,
to be strong, like what are you really hanging on to with Trump? He's an anchor. He is
yes.
just, I mean,
Around the neck,
imagine elections were tomorrow. I mean,
right,
we'll see.
right,
Tennessee's going to be a little bit of a, next bellwether, right? Let's
right.
see how far that plus 22 district swings. And if the Democrats win that one, oh my God, then you're going to say there's maybe 50 safe seats in the House, and all the rest of them are up for
Up
grabs.
for grabs, right. So let's talk about Tennessee now. It's about 10 days away. Um, you know, Trump's disapproval rating, where do we have it? Like minus 18 on average?
Yeah, I guess the average it was between minus 12 and minus 26, right? Gap between disapproval and approval, or approval
Okay,
and disapproval. So yeah, we midpoint that at like a minus 18 right now,
okay,
which has dropped significantly just in the last month,
sure.
right? Because the ICE raids, so he's not even that great on immigration because America writ large is soured on the ICE raids,
Yeah,
right? His
disgusting.
bullshitting on the economy and the affordability has just been a train wreck where he's
Yeah,
telling people that your eggs don't cost what they cost when people just know that. So those are his two strongest. That's what won him the election, actually,
right,
right? Those were his two calling cards because we know healthcare, he's underwater. He's never had a plan. Now premiums are going up and everyone's going to get screwed on healthcare,
right,
right? And
right.
I don't know, is America going to be cheering the fact that we're strong arming Ukraine into surrender and that we're bombing boats in the Caribbean? I mean, there's probably a 20% of people that like that shit, but most people are kind of like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, remember, Brock, you know, those are people's sons and daughters out there. Okay. And look, it only takes one ill-placed, you know, grenade in the water, you know, to cause some of those men and women to come home, you know, with flag draped coffins. So, you know, anytime you put the men and women of our military at risk, um, there's a huge potential downside there. And, I feel like we need more fighters in Congress who can say, wait a minute, get our men and women back home. There is no need for this escalation. We've seen no evidence of it. And what you're doing is flat out illegal. And it has not been approved by Congress, so you can't do it. I mean, this is a lame duck president, Brock. We're letting him get away with these crimes all out in the open. So we need this Tennessee seat, right? We need every seat so Hakeem, can circle the wagons and get this fucking guy out of here. Because, like you said, Brock, he's only a plus 22 in that district. He's down, on average, 18 points. We don't know if he's down 26 points in that Tennessee district, right? We don't know what those folks down there are thinking. And all the Democratic superstars are going there, so they must have some information there too.
Yeah,
right?
a lot of
Been down there. AOC's been down there. All the big names have been down there. David Hogg's been down there on the ground talking to people. And I hear this candidate, from everything I've read, is a rising star in the party. So, I mean, it's not like we're putting up, some cabbage stew here. We're putting together a nice, viable candidate.
Yeah, I've only heard her a couple times, but she looks pretty good. She's young, so she's got that card.
Yes.
She kind of exudes fresh blood, next generation, energy, the fight. Not rolling out another 75-year-old, white guy who's half asleep, right? Another Chuck Schumer. So yeah, I mean, I like the candidate, I like the opportunity, and it's all going to be the turnout, right? If there's big turnout, Dems are going to win if there's big turnout. So. Are people motivated? How could they fucking not be, right? I mean, I'll be so pissed if it's a low turnout election, right? I'll live with a loss in a high turnout one. But I think it can be pulled off, and then it's going to put every seat at risk. And then there's no doubt that more MAGA politicians are going to peel away from Trump. They're going to have to fight him on different topics because they're going to realize they're dead men walking.
Yes, absolutely. And, the thing about it too, Brock, is, this guy's time has come and gone. I mean, it's been 10 years of this fucker, right? Like, it's old. The act is old now, right? Like, why aren't these reporters pushing? You call me piggy? Really? Like, Brocky's got nothing left in the tank.
Okay, MAGA hated the Mondani meeting. Hated it. MAGA was
absolutely.
up in arms about the cordiality with the same guy that Trump had called terrorists, like within the last month. And it's big news up here in New York because the governor's race, right, between Hochul and what's her name?
Is it Stefanik?
And Stefanik had glommed right onto the terrorist thing. She'd gone all in on the Mondani is a terrorist right on the heels of Trump's comments, and now Trump did a 180 on her, and she's still stuck hanging out in the wind. So Hochul's just buried her yesterday.
Wow.
Get early and often just started punching at her. But so MAGA went after Trump yesterday, right? Some of them saying he's circling the drain, right? Like this, you got some people on the right, talking about warming up his obituary.
Right.
But I still think, I guess I'm doubling down and pushing forward on my thoughts from yesterday, that there was a strategic activity by Trump. They didn't have to invite Mondani to the Oval Office. That was a decision. They didn't invite every mayor who won, right? They invited this one mayor to New York.
Right.
To the Oval Office from New York. Trump had the decision to make. Do I try to bully him, or do I play, Mr. Nice Guy role? And I think the press is playing as if Trump likes Mondani and was like deferential to him in that and I don't think that was the play. I think Trump's aides said, get Mondani out here, play him up because he's divisive on the left. So he helps break up your opponents because now they're infighting between the Schumer wing and that Jeffries versus AOC and the up-and-comers, right? So let him be divisive. So play nice with him. But the day will come. Trump knows what he has in his back pocket. Is whenever he decides he wants to have a fight with Mondani, it could be over anything. As soon as they send ICE up here, up there, and he doesn't like it, and then Trump says, "Oh, I thought he was a nice guy, but you know what? He's a communist and a socialist and a terrorist," just as I all said. And then MAGA will be all excited again that they got what they wanted. And I think Trump's teeing that up. He wants Mondani elevated because he thinks Mondani hurts the Democratic Party because he knows how racist MAGA is.
Right.
That's the game. I think there was strategy there.
Right. So let me ask you this, Brock. If Mondani hurts the Democratic Party, is the Democratic Party racist too?
Well, all of America's racist. So
Well,
the answer
okay.
is yes, to a
Yes.
certain extent.
To an extent, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay, let's
and
just get
and
that out there.
we're throwing in the religious issue, right? Because
Right.
Mondani causes an infighting between Jews who voted 85% Democrat, right? Now they have the Muslim mayor who they feel was pro Hamas, so that creates an infighting on the left. So Trump he can play up to the Jews, right, on the
Yeah.
Mondani side. So he thinks he can scoop
Right.
off a bunch of Jews, by if Mondani is a bigger presence. Trump thinks Mondani is a problem for the Democratic Party because he's looking at the party in the same way that Chuck Schumer thinks it, and Ken Martin and all the establishment Democrats.
Right.
We can't be too weak or too woke Democrats, the Alyssa Slotkin wing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Trump's trying to drive a wedge on the left.
Yeah.
He doesn't realize that he's such a big enemy that there's gonna be no infighting until he's taken out.
Right. And that's the deal. Who is positioned to be the party leader after Trump? I mean,
After Trump,
yeah. I
okay,
mean, they don't
let's
have any rock
go
stars.
back. Maybe MTG thinks she's that person and she needs to be on the outside. She can't just be a congressman. Obviously, JD Vance thinks he's that person because he's the vice president and he's got all those techno bros behind him and all that money.
Right.
Ted Cruz is already talking about running. Rubio has swallowed all this shit because he thinks that he's the future. It's all these same chumps think that they're going to come back in.
Wow.
I would bet on MTG off over all of them.
Well,
She has more charisma.
that. Ugh.
She's crazy, but she has more charisma. They all have shitty policies. They're all,
Right.
pieces of shit. She's at least one with charisma.
Right.
And maybe now she can win women voters because she got on, bring back some women voters because she was, hand in hand with the survivors. Hey, MTG's not stupid. I hate what comes out of her mouth, but she's not stupid.
And Trump is also saying in the same breath, he'd love to see her return to politics. I mean, again, the guy is freaking demented. He can't remember one thought from the next to, from 5 minutes ago. So, I mean, who knows what tomorrow brings?
Hey, Elon Musk was at dinner 2 nights ago in the Oval Office, and he's been out there saying that Trump's in the Epstein files, right? Like, think about the bad blood they had and all the shit that Musk threw at Trump, and they've buried that now, and he's back at a state dinner with the Saudi leader, and Elon Musk's back in the room, and Musk is back. All his contracts are in place, and he's got his big money, and he's all of a sudden right back in the fold. So Trump doesn't care. He doesn't have relationships with anyone. Everyone's just a piece on the chessboard. He'll as soon as they kiss his ass, he'll welcome them back in, and as soon as he doesn't like what they're saying, he'll fucking turn on them. He's not like us, as Kendrick would say.
Absolutely fucking not. If he would just pay taxes and go away, that'd be enough for me to get him the fuck out of here. All right, give me a quick hit. What do you got for me? I know you got something good on a Saturday.
No. Can we just fucking put to bed this story about this writer, Olivia Nuzzi, who wrote the article about RFK and had a sexting relationship with him and got fired from that job and then came out with a book and then got hired by Vanity Fair or something to write some articles and like there's nobody cares. Like, stop trying to make this a big story. This
Right.
is like buffoonish behavior, unprofessional. These aren't, as they would say in Succession, they aren't serious people from
Yeah.
RFK on down. But
Yeah.
it's salacious and it plays into the sort of shit that gets clicks. So it's like the story that won't die, and it's like everyone gets to write a book, and they get invited on, and they make the rounds, and we just talk, and we let absolute meaningless, irrelevant bullshit
Right.
take the attention away from like serious shit of like people are starving.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
are getting fucking kidnapped and thrown in vans and thrown in for-profit concentration camps. Like,
Yeah.
these stories get pushed out of the way by total irrelevant bullshit. And it's
Yeah.
the what is it? It's the tabloidization of the
Of
entire
America.
news.
Yeah, I
cycle.
mean, look who's hiring her to write articles: the Daily News, the New York Post, like these salacious outlets, that want to go and look for the lowest common denominator in our society and then pump it up. And Newsy, who's a 30 something, what is she, 35? Something like that. It's a money grab, right? Because anytime you're within proximity to, celebrity, it's a potential money grab, right? Yeah, he sexted me. Who cares? Look, we don't care about the raping of, 14, 15-year-old girls. We've got women with their own network saying, wow, there's a big difference between a 5-year-old and a 15-year-old. We've got people trying to make it seem like raping a 15-year-old ain't so bad. Like, it just likes the young type. So, the fact that she's trying to capitalize on this and get her 15 minutes, it's now 30 minutes with the internet, is no surprise. Especially when, the subject matter is somebody that nobody likes. But again, no one cares. So how is she really going to monetize this deal? Unless it's the next deal she's working for.
I mean, we care about this aspect of RFK. The fucking guy has got the CDC putting up stories that are like anti-vax. Like, he's just
Right.
carried through. Like, we literally have an anti-science person stripping away the advances that have gone on in American medicine over the last like 100 years. We're letting this
Yep.
fucking moron do that. But
Yep.
like, so we care about this story. We care about who he was texting. We don't care. We don't care about his marriage. We don't care about his life. We don't care about any of
that
this.
bullshit. Yeah. It really is difficult to swallow, the shit that passes for news these days, just like the Marjorie Taylor Greene story, the spin on that. Mandami and Trump, bond a couple of guys from Queen. Because that's the story, right? They knew it was going to elicit that huge response from MAGA. That's the story. It's all, Brock, remember I told you, it's all about the headline, baby. It's all about the tease. As long as they can get your eyeballs there, they've cashed you in.
So aggravating. What do you got for me today?
Bro, I watched that Keeping It in Black and White, that Eddie Murphy doc. Good stuff, bro. Good stuff. And how about the fact that, what's your boy, Dana Carvey? Not Dana. David Spade went on Saturday.
Yeah, took a
live
second.
and threw
Yeah, I
in
didn't
the
remember that.
Holy shit. Eddie was pissed. And if you haven't seen it, folks, I don't want to spoil it for you, man, but go check this out. I mean,
Yeah. I
wow,
mean,
what an insightful, well done piece, narrated by Eddie himself, just walking you through the different phases of life in his career. Some laugh out loud funny moments in it, and I like the party all the time stuff with Rick James. I didn't know the story behind that.
I know, totally forgot he had some hit songs too.
Yeah.
Oh, even at the end when he's doing the Cosby impression, as they're rolling the credits, it's fucking
Oh
funny.
yeah. Oh yeah. The whole shit is really worth a
Yeah,
watch.
which
Like,
leads me to two things before we hop quick. One, I was watching our podcast yesterday, and after we were done, it rolled into a Chappelle Netflix thing was next on, right? And he did a 10-minute riff on meeting OJ Simpson. Jesus Christ, it's hilarious. All 10 minutes, you shouldn't be laughing, right? It's the whole time you're like, I shouldn't be laughing at this shit. No, this is not funny. It was a murder. Like, anyway, stumbled into it. It's so fucking funny. 10 minutes of it, because Chappelle's met OJ 4 times and he tells the story of the 4 meetings.
Oh, God.
But lastly, tomorrow, I hate the NFL, but
Yes,
tomorrow, Shador Sanders, after a disastrous backup role, will be
Yes.
getting his first start for the
Yes.
Cleveland Browns. Are you rooting for Shador?
All day long because of the institutional failures of a horrible franchise and the system that screwed him. Brock, you don't go from the most accurate college passer in the draft to a 5th-round selection, especially when you're the son of an NFL legend. But we keep it in black and white here. So let's talk about it. They're still trying to make Cooper Manning a stud, right? Just the broadcasts alone are pumping up his stock. The Manning boys didn't have any problem getting into the league, didn't have any problem dictating where they wanted to play. Eli said, yeah, don't draft me. I'm not playing for you. Right? Arch Manning is the guy who made New Orleans Saint fans wear bags on their heads to the games because they were too ashamed to show their faces. The Matthews boys have all played in the NFL, came out in the 1st round. Right? We could go on and on about the nepotism. Look at the Kubiak. Gary Kubiak has a son who's an OC right now in the league. We got a Schottenheimer that's coaching the Cowboys. We've got nepotism up and down the NFL, and you're going to tell me it stops at Shador? You damn right I'm right. I'm asking for a Shador jersey for Christmas. Because that's how mad black folks are that Shador was done that way. They always wanted to humble Dion, but they never could catch him on anything. You know why? Because the guy doesn't cuss, the guy doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't ride around with a posse, right? He made a couple of ill-timed rap records. The guy played 2 sports at a very high level, and he's never been in trouble. But the worst thing he's ever done was splash Tim McCarver after Tim McCarver talked all that shit about him and the Braves won the championship and Dion splashed him with a bucket of water.
Oh shit, I don't even remember that.
And people are
Dion
still
was
pissed
so
about that.
good. Dion was so good. Okay, so you're there. You want to see 20 for 26, 2 touchdowns, 254 yards. You want a nice clean game.
Put up 3 bills, baby.
Except for the fact that their offensive line sucks. They have no talent at receiver. So like it's I mean, they got rid of fucking Flacco for a reason, right? Like this is a team going nowhere. Like it'd take a miracle to put up, big numbers and actually have a strong game. But all right.
Yeah.
You're there.
Play
I'm
against an
rooting for him.
NFL team.
I'm rooting for him also. Dropped to 5th. Made no fucking sense to me. I want to see him.
Yeah.
I want to see him have a big
At
game.
all. Yep.
I'll tune into that. I'll watch a little one eye on the NFL tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mark. That's all I got for you.
All right, buddy.
All right. Always a pleasure. Talk to you tomorrow.
Always a pleasure.